guys, welcome back for another ASMR video. Today we're going to be reading from The Hobbit, and it's one of my favorite books. I read it as a kid, but I also read it recently with the movies that came out and just my renewed interest in Tolkien. Anyway, it's really hot out. Actually, if you can see, it's really hot here down in Miami. So, did you want a glass of cold water? Okay, let's go get you a cup of cold water and read our book. Alright, so now that you have your water, let's go and explore this book. So today we're going to be reading from a very special collector's edition of The Hobbit. And we're going to explore this book and read chapter 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at it, take a closer look. The Hobbit, or There and Back Again, by J.R.R. Tolkien. And these illustrations were done by the author. So as you can see, it's about 308 pages. And we're going to just read the first chapter, An Unexpected Party. So let's begin our story from long ago. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down on or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. It had a perfectly round door, like a porthole, painted green, with the shiny yellow brass knob in the exact middle. The door opened onto a tube-shaped hall like a tunnel, a very comfortable tunnel without smoke, with paneled walls and floors, tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fond of visitors. The tunnel wound on and on, going fairly but not quite straight into the side of the hill. The hill, as all the people for many miles round called it, and many little round doors opened out of it, first on one side and then on the other. No going upstairs for the Hobbit. Bedrooms, bathrooms, cellars, pantries, lots of these. Wardrobes, he had whole rooms devoted to clothes. Kitchens, dining rooms, all were on the same floor, and indeed on the same passage. The best rooms were on the left-hand side, going in, for these were the only ones to have windows, deep-set, round windows, looking over his garden and meadows beyond, sloping down to the river. This hobbit was a very well-to-do hobbit, and his name was Baggins. The Bagginses have lived in the neighborhood of the hill for time out of mind, and people considered them very respectable, not only because most of them were rich, but also because they never had any adventures or did anything unexpected. You could tell what a Baggins would say on any question without the bother of asking him. This is a story of how a Baggins had an adventure and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. He may have lost the neighbor's respect, but he gained, well, you will see whether he gained anything in the end. The mother of our particular hobbit. What is a hobbit? I suppose that hobbits need some description nowadays, since they have become rare and shy of the big people, as they call us. They are, or were, a little people, about half our height, and smaller than the bearded dwarfs. Hobbits have no beard. There's little or no magic about them, except the ordinary, everyday sort which helps them to disappear quietly and quickly when large stupid folk like you and me come blundering along, making a noise like elephants, which they can hear a mile off. They are inclined to be fat in the stomach. They dress in bright colors, chiefly green and yellow. Wear no shoes because their feet grow naturally, leathery soles and thick warm brown hair like the stuff on their heads, which is curly. Have long, clever brown fingers, good-natured faces, and laugh deep, fruity laughs, especially after dinner, which they have twice a day when they can get it. Now you know enough to go on with. As I was saying, the mother of this hobbit, Bilbo Baggins, that is, was the famous Belladonna Took, one of the 3 remarkable daughters of the old Took, head of the hobbits who lived across the water, the small river at the foot of the hill. It was often said in other families that long ago one of the Took ancestors must have taken a fairy wife. That was, of course, absurd, but certainly there was still something not entirely hobbit-like about them. And once in a while, members of the Took clan would go and have adventures. They discreetly disappeared, and the family hushed it up. But the fact remains that the Tooks were not as respectable as the Bagginses, though they were undoubtedly richer. Not that Belladonna Took ever had any adventures after she became Mrs. Bungo Baggins. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father. He built the most luxurious hobbit hole for her, and partly with her money. That was to be found either under the hill, or over the hill, or across the water. And there they remained to the end of their days. Still, it is probable that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side. Something that only waited for a chance to come out. It is probable that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side. Something that only waited for the chance to come out. That chance never arrived until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father, which I have just described for you, until he had, in fact, apparently settled down immovably. By some curious chance, one morning long ago in the quiet of the world, when there was less noise and more green, and the hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, and Bilbo Baggins was standing at his door after breakfast, smoking an enormous, long wooden pipe that reached nearly down to his woolly toes, neatly brushed. Gandalf came by. Gandalf, if you had heard only a quarter of what I have heard about him, and I have only heard very little of all there is to hear, you would be prepared for any sort of remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place, wherever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down that way, under the hill. For ages and ages, not since his old friend the old Took died, in fact, and the hobbits had all forgotten what he looked like. He'd been away over the hill and across the water, on businesses of his own, since they were all small hobbit boys and hobbit girls. All that the unsuspected Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff. He had a tall, pointed blue hat, a long, gray cloak, a silver scarf, over which his long white beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. "Good morning," said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining, and the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under the long bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shaggy hat. "What do you mean?" he said. "Do you wish me a good morning, or mean that it is a good morning, whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good this morning, or that it is a morning to be good on?" "All of them at once," said Bilbo, "and the very morning for a pipe of tobacco out of doors into the bargain. If you have a pipe about you, sit down and have the forest." Then Bilbo sat down on a seat by his door, crossed his legs, and blew out a beautiful, great ring of smoke that sailed up into my head without breaking and floated away over the hill. "Very pretty," said Gandalf, "but I have no time to blow smoke rings this morning. I am looking for someone to share in an adventure that I am arranging, and it's very difficult to find anyone." "I should think so in these parts. We are plain, quiet folk, and have no use for adventures. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. Make you late for dinner. I can't imagine what anybody sees in them," said Mr. Baggins, and stuck one thumb behind his braces and blew out another even bigger smoke ring. Then he took out his morning letters and began to read, pretending to take no more notice of the old man. He had decided that he was not quite his sort and wanted him to go away. But the old man did not move. He stood leaning on his stick and gazing at the hobbit without saying anything, till Bilbo got quite uncomfortable, and even a little cross. "Good morning," he said at last. "We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water." By this he meant that the conversation was at an end. "What a lot of things you do use good morning for," said Gandalf. "Now you mean that you want to get rid of me, and that it won't be good if I move off." "Not at all, not at all, my dear sir. Let me see, I don't think I know your name." Yes, my dear sir, and I do know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins. And you do know my name, though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. To think that I should have lived to be Good morning by Belladonna took the sun, as if I was settling buttons at the door. Gandalf, good gracious me, not the wandering wizard that gave old Duke a pair of magic diamond studs that fastened themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties, and dragons and goblins, and giants, and the rescue of princesses, and the unexpected luck of the widow's son. Not the man that used to make such particularly excellent firework. I remember those. Old Took used to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid. They used to go up like great lilies and snapdragons and laburnums of fire and hang in the twilight all evening. You will notice already that Mr. Baggins was not quite so prosy as he liked to believe. Also, that he was very fond of flowers. Dear me, he went on, not the Gandalf who was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off into the blue for mad adventures. Anything from climbing trees to visiting elves, or sailing in ships, sailing to other shores. Bless me, life used to be quite you used to upset things badly in these parts, once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I had no idea you were still in business. Where else should I be, said the wizard. All the same, I am pleased to find you remember something about me. You seem to remember my fireworks kindly, at any rate, and that is not without hope. Indeed, for your old grandfather Took's sake, and for the sake of poor Belladonna, I will give you what you asked for. I beg your pardon. I haven't asked for anything. Yes, you have twice now. My pardon. I give it to you. In fact, I will go so far as to send you on this adventure. Very amusing for me. Very good for you. And profitable too. Very likely if you ever get over it. Sorry, I don't want any adventures, thank you. Not today. Good morning. But please come to tea any time you like. Why not tomorrow? Come tomorrow. Goodbye. With that, the hobbit turned and scuttled inside his round green door, and shut it as quickly as he dared, not to seem rude. Wizards, after all, are wizards. What on earth did I ask him to tea for? He said to himself as he went to the bench. He had only just had breakfast, but he thought a cake or two and a drink of something would do him good after his fright. Gandalf, in the meantime, was standing outside the door and laughing long but quietly. After a while, he stepped up, and with the spike on his staff scratched a queer sign on the hobbit's beautiful green door. Then he strode away, just about the time when Bilbo was finishing his second cake and beginning to think that he had escaped adventures very well. The next day, he had almost forgotten about did not remember things very well unless he put them down on his engagement tablet. Like this. Gablet, Gandalf tea, Wednesday. Yesterday he had been too flustered to do anything of the kind. Just before tea time there came a tremendous ring on the front doorbell. And then he remembered. He rushed and put on a kettle and put out another cup and saucer and an extra cake or two and ran to the door. "I'm so sorry to keep you waiting," he was going to say when he saw that it was not Gandalf at all. It was a dwarf with a blue beard tucked into a golden belt and very bright eyes under his dark green hood. As soon as the door was opened, he pushed aside just as if he had been expected. He hung his hooded cloak on the nearest peg, and, "Dwalin at your service," he said with a low bow. "Bilbo Baggins at yours," said the Hobbit, who was surprised to ask any questions for the moment. When the silence that followed had become uncomfortable, he added, "I'm just about to take tea. Pray come and have some with me." A little stiff, perhaps, but he meant it kindly. "And what would you do if an uninvited dwarf came and hung his things on your hall without a word of explanation?" They had not been at table long. In fact, they had hardly reached the third cake when there came another even louder ring at the bell. "Excuse me," said the Hobbit, and off he went to the door. "So you have got here at last." That was what he was going to say to Gandalf this time. But it was not Gandalf. Instead, there was a very old-looking dwarf on the step with a white beard and a scarlet hood. And he too hopped inside as soon as the door was open, just as if he had been invited. "I see they have begun to arrive already," he said when he caught sight of Dwalin's green hood hanging up. He hung his red one next to it, and bowing at your service, he said with his hand on his breast. "Thank you," Bilbo was with a gasp. It was not the correct thing to say, but they have begun to arrive. It flustered him badly. He liked visitors, but he liked to know them before they arrived, and he preferred to ask them himself. He had a horrible thought that the cakes might run short, and then he, as the host, he knew his duty and stuck to it, however painful. He might have to go without. "Come along in and have some tea," he managed to say after taking a deep breath. "A little beer would suit me better if it is all the same to you, my good sir," said Balin with the white bread. "But I don't mind some cake. Seed cake, if you have any." "Lots." Bilbo found himself answering to his own surprise, and he found himself scuttling off to the cellar to fill a pint beer mug, and then to a pantry to fetch 2 beautiful round seed cakes, which he had baked that afternoon for his supper morsel. When he got back, Balin and Dwalin were talking at the table like old friends. As a matter of fact, they were brothers. Bilbo plumped down the beer and the cake in front of them when loud came a ring at the bell again, and then another ring. Gandalf for certain this time, he thought as he pulled along the passage. But it was not. It was 2 more dwarfs, both with hoods, the blue hoods, silver belts, and yellow beards, and each of them carried a bag of tools and a spade, and they hopped as soon as the door began to open. Bilbo was hardly surprised at all. can I do for you, my dwarves? He said. Keely at your service, said the one, and Feely added the other, and they both swept off their blue hoods and bowed. At yours and your families, replied Bilbo, remembering his manners this time. Dwalin and Balin here I see, said Keely. Let us join the throng. Throng, thought Mr. Baggins. I don't like the sound of that. I really must sit down for a minute and collect my wits and have a drink. He had only just had a sip in the corner while the four dwarfs sat around the table and talked about mines and gold and troubles with the goblins and the depredations of dragons and lots of other things which he did not understand and did not want to, for they sounded much too adventurous, when ding-dong-a-ling-dang, his bell rang again, as if some naughty little hobbit boy was trying to pull the handle off. Someone at the door, he said, blinking. Some four, I should say, by the sound, said Billy. Besides, we saw them coming along behind us in the distance. The poor little hobbit sat down in the hall and put his head in his hands and wondered what had happened, and what was going to happen, and whether they would stay to supper. Then the bell rang again louder than ever, and he had to run to the door. It was not 4 after all, it was 5. Another dwarf had come along while he was wandering in the hall. He had hardly turned the knob before they were all inside, bowing and saying, At your service, one after another. Dory, Nori, Ori, Owen, Glowing were their names. Very soon 2 purple hoods, a gray hood, a brown hood, and a white hood were hanging on the pegs, and off they marched with their broad hands stuck in their gold and silver belts to join the others. Already it had almost become a throng. Some called for ale, and some called for porter, and one for coffee, and all of them for cake. So the hobbit was kept very busy for a while. A big jug of coffee had just been sent in the hearth. The seed cakes were gone, and the dwarves were starting on a round of buttered scones, when there came a loud knock. Not a ring, but a hard rat-tat on the hobbit's beautiful door. Somebody was banging with a stick. Bilbo rushed along the passage, very angry, and altogether bewildered and bewildered. This was the most awkward Wednesday he ever remembered. He pulled open the door with a jerk, and they all fell in, one on top of the other. More dwarfs. 4 more. And there was Gandalf behind, leaning on his staff and laughing. He had made quite a dent on the beautiful door. He had also, by the way, knocked the secret mark that he put there the morning before. Carefully, carefully, he said. It is not like you, Bilbo, to keep friends waiting on the mat. And then open the door like a popgun. Let me introduce Beaver, Beaufort, and Bombor, and especially Thorin. At your service, said Beaver, Beaufort, and Bombor, standing in a row. Then they hung up 2 yellow hoods, and pale green one, and also a sky blue one with a long silver tassel. This last one belonged to Thorin, an enormously important dwarf. In fact, no other than the great Thorin Oakenshield himself, who was not at all pleased at falling flat on Bilbo's mat with Beaver, Beaufort, and Bombur on top of him. For one thing, Bombur was immensely fat and heavy. Thorin, indeed, was very haughty and said nothing about serpents. But poor Mr. Baggins said he was sorry so many times that at last he grunted, "Pray don't mention it," and stopped frowning. "Now we are all here," said Gandalf, looking at the row of 13 hoods, the best detachable party hoods, and his own hat hanging on the pegs. "Quite a merry gathering. I hope there is something left for the latecomers to eat and drink." "What's that?" "Tea. No, thank you. A little red wine, I think, for me." "And for me," said Thorn. "And raspberry jam, and apple tart," said Beaver. "And mince pies, and cheese," said Bumper. "And pork pie and salad," said Bumper. "And more cake, sin ale, and coffee." "If you don't mind," called the other dwarfs through the door, "put on a few eggs, there's a good fellow." Gandalf called after him as the hobbit stumbled off to the pantries. "And just bring out the cold chicken and pickles." "Seems to know as much about the inside of my letters as I do," thought Mr. Baggins, who was feeling positively flummoxed, and was beginning to wonder whether a most wretched adventure had not come right into his house. By the time he had got all the bottles, and dishes, and knives, and forks, and glasses, and plates, and spoons, and things piled up on big trays, he was very hot and red in the face, and annoyed. "Can't fustigate and bother these dwarfs," he said aloud. "Why don't they come and lend a hand?" Lo and behold, there stood Balin and Dwalin at the door of the kitchen, and Feely and Keely behind him. Before he could say knife, they had whisked the trays and a couple of small tables into the parlor, and set out everything afresh. Gandalf sat at the head of the party, with the 13 dwarfs all around, and Bilbo sat on a stool at the fireside, nibbling at a biscuit. His appetite was quite taken away, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary, and not in the least an adventure. The dwarfs ate, and talked, and talked, and talked, and time got on. At last, they pushed their chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. "I suppose you all stay to supper," he said in his politest, unpressing tones. "Of course," said Thorn, "and after, we shan't get through the business till late, and we must have some music first, now to clear up." Thereupon the 12 dwarfs, not Thorn, he was too important, and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet and made tall piles of all things. Off they went, not waiting for trays, balancing columns of plates, each with a bottle on top with one hand, while the hobbit ran after them, almost squeaking with fright. "Please be careful, and please don't trouble. I can manage." But the dwarfs only started to sing. "Chip the glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Smash the bottles and burn the corks. Cut the cloth and tread on the fat. Pour the milk on the pantry floor. Leave the bones on the bedroom mat. Splash the wine on every door. Dump the crocks in a boiling bowl. Pound them up with a thumping pole. And when you finish, if any are whole, send them down the hall to roll. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. So carefully, carefully, with the plates." And of course, they did none of these dreadful things, and everything was cleaned and put away safe as quick as lightning, while the hobbit was turning round and round in the middle of the kitchen, trying to see what they were doing. Then and found Thorn with his feet on the fender smoking a pipe. He was blowing the most enormous smoke rings, and wherever he told one to go, it went, up the chimney or behind the clock on the mantelpiece, or under the table, or round and round the ceiling. But wherever it went, it was not quick enough to escape Gandalf. Pop! He sent a smaller smoke ring from his short clay pipe straight through each one of Thorn's. Then Gandalf's smoke ring would go green and come back to hover over the wizard's head. He had a cloud of them about him already, and in the dim lit it made him look strange and sorcerous. Bilbo stood still and watched. He loved smoke rings, and then he blushed to think how proud he had been yesterday morning of the smoke rings he had sent up the wind over the hill. Now for some music, said Thorn. Bring out the instruments. Keely and Feely rushed for their bags and brought back their little fiddles. Nori, Nori brought out flutes from somewhere inside their coats. Blompork produced a drum from the hall. B4 and Bow4 went out too, and came back with clarinets that they had left among the walking sticks. Dwalin and Balin said, "Excuse me, I left mine in the porch." "Just bring mine in with yours," said Thorin. They came back with viols as big as themselves, and with Thorin's harp wrapped in a green cloth. It was beautiful. Golden harp, and when Thorin struck it, the music began. All at once, so sudden and sweet that Bilbo forgot everything else and was swept away into dark lands, under strange moons, far over the water and very far from his hobbit hole under the hill. The dark came into the room from the little window that opened in the side of the hill. The firelight flickered. It was April, and still they played on, while the shadow of Gandalf's beard wagged against the wall. The dark filled all the room, and the fire died down, and the shadows were lost. And still they played on, and suddenly, first one, and then another began to sing as they played deep-throated singing of the doors and the deep places of their ancient homes. And this is like a fragment of their song. It can be like their song without their music. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to seek the pale enchanted gold. The doors of yore made mighty spells, while hammers fell like ringing bells, in places deep where dark things sleep, in hollow halls beneath the fells. For ancient king and elvish lord, there many a gleaming golden hoard, they shaped and wrought, and light they got, to hide in gems on hilt of sword, on silver necklaces they strung, the flowering stars on crowns they hung, the dragon fire in twisted wire. They meshed the light of moon and sun, far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old. We must away ere break of day, to claim our long forgotten gold. Goblets they carved there for themselves, and harps of gold, where no man tells. There lay they long, and many a song was sung, unheard by men or elves. The pines were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night. The fire was red, in flaming spread, the trees torches blazed with light. The bells were ringing in the dale, and man looked up with faces pale. Then dragons' ire, more fierce than fire, laid low their towers and houses frail. The mountains smoked beneath the moon. The dwarves, they heard the tramp of doom. They fled their hall to die and fall. Beneath his feet, beneath the moon. Far over the missing mountains grim. The dungeons deep and cabins dim. We must away ere break of day to win our losing men. As they sang, the hobbit felt the love of beautiful things made by hands, and by cunning, and by magic, moving through him, a fierce and a jealous love, the desire of the hearts of dwarves. Then something tookish woke up inside him, and he wished to go and see the great mountains, and hear the pine trees, the waterfalls, and explore caves and wear a sword instead of a walking stick. He looked out of the window. The stars were out in a dark sky above the tree. He thought of the jewels of the doors shining in dark caverns. Suddenly, in the wood beyond the water, a flame leapt up. Probably somebody lighting a wood fire, and he thought of blundering dragons settling on his quiet hill and kindling it all to flames. He shuddered, and very quickly he was plain Mr. Baggins of Bag End under hill again. He got up trembling. He had less than half a mind to fetch the lamp, and more than half a mind to pretend to, and go and hide behind the beer barrels in the cellar, and not come out again until all the dwarves had gone away. Suddenly, he found that the music and the singing had stopped, and they were all looking at him with eyes shining in the dark. "Where are you going?" said Thorn in a tone that seemed to show that he guessed both sounds of the hobbit's mind. "What about a little light?" said Bilbo apologetically. "We said the dark," said all the dwarves. "Dark for dark business. There are many hours before dawn." "Of course," said Bilbo, and sat down in a hurry. He missed the stool and sat in the fender, knocking over the poker and shovel with a crash. "Hush," said Gandalf. "Let Thorn speak." And this is how Thorn began. "Gandalf, dwarves, and Mr. Baggins, we are met together in the house of our friend and fellow conspirator, this most excellent and audacious hobbit. May the hair on his toes never fall out. All praise to his wine and ale." He paused for breath and for a polite remark from the hobbit, but the compliments were lost on poor Bilbo Baggins, who was waging his mouth in protest at being called audacious, and worst of all, fellow conspirator. Though no noise came out, he was so flummoxed, so Thorn went on. "So, this is the first half of chapter 1, and it's already almost up to close to an hour. So, if people enjoy this, I can finish chapter 1 and the rest of the book. So, let's call it a night. And we'll meet again to finish the book. People enjoy it, and we can spend another 45 minutes on chapter 1, the second half, and keep going on. So, I hope you enjoyed it.